All right, man. So you're just getting into the gym, or maybe you've even been working out for a while now, but you're still confused as to what direction you should go in. Should you cut? Should you bulk? Should you maintain? There's so many different options available, and there's so many different opinions, so it makes it really confusing. By the end of this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do, and you'll know exactly what your next step is in order to transform your physique and actually become aesthetic. So about 2 years ago, I was skinny fat, and it was taking a toll on my health physically. It was taking a toll on my health mentally, right? I was kind of stressed out. I had a lot going on in life at that time. Really, it kind of just brought me down, right? It just brought me down, and having this sort of physique just really didn't help things. I was drinking a lot, which really didn't help. Every night, I would be like having a drink after closing up like the shop or whatever. I remember we actually went on a vacation down to Florida, right? And we were taking a bunch of pictures, me and my girlfriend, of us like on the beach or whatnot. And I put this picture up before, like my transformation, but like it was the first time in my life, bro, where I actually felt like insecure about my physique. I felt unhappy with what I saw. And I didn't feel healthy. I didn't look healthy. And because previously, I've always had a little bit of muscle, but I was more on like the skinny side, like more like lean and like skinny. But I had really kind of let go of my health. And during the C1 whole like C19, C19 thing that happened, I had just been eating a lot. I just been drinking a lot. And so I let my physique go, and I wasn't doing any training for like 2 years. I hadn't done any training. And so it really led to this point of me being skinny fat, and I just really didn't like what I saw. So I remember when we came home from that vacation, I was like, okay, I need to make a change. I need to actually get serious about this. And so I went looking for answers, right? The first thing that I ran into was obviously going to the gym, but like the first problem I ran into was, what direction do I go? Like, this was the first major obstacle, was what direction should I go? Should I bulk? Should I cut? Should I do this thing where like people say like just to maintain? Should I, what should I do? And this was super confusing, and I didn't know what path to take. And so I ended up wasting a lot of time. This is also really problematic because it makes you feel like you aren't making progress. So, I would bulk a little bit. I would start bulking, but then I would kind of get more fat. And I'm like, wait, this isn't good. Like, I don't like the way I look. Or I would try to like cut back a bit and get more lean. But I'm like, wait a minute, my lifts in the gym are going down. I feel weaker. I feel worse. Like, what is going on? And so there's really was no way for me to get around this. And I really felt stuck. You start thinking things like maybe, you're not meant to really have an aesthetic physique, or maybe, your just genetics aren't good enough, or maybe you just like you suck, whatever. You just start thinking things, and it kind of puts you even in a more depressed state because you're not making any progress, and you're like, why can't I make progress? So I'm going to talk a bit about what to do if you're in that position right now, okay? And I think most people are in the position of being kind of more skinny fat. And so I want to take it from that approach versus the extremes of like being really obese or really skinny, because I think most people are kind of in that middle zone of being just like skinny fat, where you've got a little bit too much fat and not enough muscle. So we're going to take it from there, and then towards the end of the video, I'll talk about what to do if you're really, really skinny or really, really obese. Also, after this video, if you still want more help with your physique, be sure to check the first link in the description. So like I said, I was stuck in this position where I didn't know, should I bulk, cut, recomp, whatever. I felt stuck. I wasn't making really much progress. And that was when I discovered and stumbled upon the thing called recomp, or body recomposition. Now, essentially what this is you are kind of maintaining the same, right? You're going to be eating more protein or whatever, but what you're doing is you're lowering your body fat a little bit, but at the same time, you are progressive overload and building muscle. And so if you do those two things at the same time, what happens is your body does a recomposition where you kind of weigh the same at the end, or maybe even a little bit more because you've put on muscle, but you look drastically different, right? You look completely different. Like with my recomp, by the time I was done, I was like, wow, dude, like I've made some serious progress, but I still kind of weighed the same. So it's pretty interesting, and it's a really great thing to do if you're just getting into the gym. Like if you're a noob and you've got that newbie gains phase, which is like your first year, 2 years, maybe 3 years, that is when you can really make some extremely good progress with doing a body recomp. And so I always recommend, if you're skinny fat right now and you feel like bulking is not working for you, you're in the position where you're trying to bulk up, but you're like, you don't want to gain more fat, right? Because you want to actually look good, or at least if you're doing a bulk, you want to do it the right way. And you don't want to cut because you're going to just get weaker in the gym. You're already kind of skinny, right? You don't have much muscle. So cutting is not going to work because you're not going to be able to build more muscle. I always recommend you go for the recomp. Try the recomp out. And there's just a few things that you need to do, right? Basically, you need to be in a small calorie deficit so that you're losing that extra fat you've got, right? And then you need to also be doing progressive overload in the gym, lifting heavier weights, make sure that you're using the right exercises and targeting the right muscles so that you could actually become aesthetic and you're not just doing random shit. And over time, your body will literally transform. If you're, eating a good diet and you're getting sleep and you're eating enough protein, your body will literally transform. And at the end of it, your weight's going to be roughly the same, if not maybe a little bit more. So that's always the approach that I recommend if you're skinny fat, because that's what worked for me. And, everybody can talk about what they want to online, but at the end of the day, you have to decide what works for yourself. And for me, I know it worked. That's the one thing that literally worked in the beginning for me. So I always recommend that that's what you should do. Now, this works really well, like I said, with your beginner newbie phase, right? Your beginners. So what if you're a little bit more advanced? What if you've been lifting now for a while? What if you've been lifting for 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years? Can a recomp work for you? Would that be something that you should consider? And I would say that yes, it is possible that a recomp could work for you, as well as a bulk or cut. But the real question is, you're asking kind of the wrong question, bro. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. If you've been lifting now for a year, 2 years, 2.5 years, and you aren't seeing the progress you want to see, you aren't seeing some drastic changes in terms of your physique, it's not so much that you should be asking, should I bulk, cut, recomp, whatever. You should be really looking at your training right now, because something's really off with your training. Like, there's no reason that you should be training for a year, 2 years and not see significant progress. So if you're telling me that you're kind of still like flabby, you haven't really put on much muscle, you need to look at your training, because something's off with your training. Something's seriously wrong with your training. And everyone obviously has a different genetic potential, right? We're not all going to just transform into some freaking insane Greek god physique, but you should be able to make changes that you're proud of and you're happy with, right? By the end of your first year and a half, 2 years, you should be happy with your progress. You should feel like, okay, I've got this under control. This is under lock. And the problem is a lot of people don't really get serious about it, and so their training is off. They're not taking it seriously. They're not doing the right exercises. They don't even know what the end goal is. Nobody has a goal. So it's just you got to make sure that you're actually going to take this seriously and that your training is on point, because the training on point combined with the recomp or the bulk or the cut is what's going to really make the difference. So that's probably what's going on right now. If you're sort of stuck in that position where you feel like, I'm not making any progress, but I've already been lifting for a year and a half, or even if you're a year and a half to 2 years in, and you just still feel like, why does my physique not look that great? It just looks pretty average. You're probably just literally missing 1 or 2 key components that would literally transform everything for you, right? Or maybe you just haven't stayed consistent because you don't have that accountability. So look at your training and look and see what you think you might be missing, and then decide from there whether you should recomp or bulk or cut, right? Let's go into what to do if you're super skinny. If you're really skinny right now, which means you don't have much fat on you, but you also don't have much muscle, right? You're just skinny, right? You're just skinny. Your arms are super skinny. You have no shoulders, no chest. Your legs are like twigs. Then for you, bro, I would recommend that you actually go on a bulk, because what's going on is you don't have enough extra energy on your body, right? Your energy is low. Your vibration is really low right now. And so in order for you to build and actually grow, you need to literally implement eating more food, eating more protein. And most likely, if you're that skinny, you're not in the gym training, because most people who are in the gym training consistently, they're not going to end up looking that skinny, because your body's going to literally start growing muscle and the demand is going to make you eat more. So you need to focus on eating more food and actually going into a proper bulk. So if you're really overweight to obese, I think that it's really important that you understand the recomp is really more for someone who is skinny fat, right? It's not for people who are really overweight or really fat. So you need to take a more approach of taking a drastic cut, right? 500 calories, 1,000 calories, whatever, depending on what you're eating. It's all circumstantial, but in general, that would be, what you need to do. If you're on the extremes, it's either actually go for a cut or actually go for a bulk. And then if you're in the middle and you're skinny fat, or you just kind of have some extra fat and not much muscle, it's always best, in my opinion, to start off with a recomp, because that's what I did and that's what's worked for me. So that being said, it can be really difficult to do all of this alone, right? So if you want more help implementing what we talked about in the video so you can speed up your progress, go down in the description, check out that first link, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.